TIFU by chasing a girl by accident. So this was a few years ago, and a recent post brought the memory back. I'm fairly tall, bald and bearded, and have been told I'm intimidating to look at relevant later. After a uni class, I went back to a friend's for a smoke. A few hours later, I'm fairly baked and begin my walk home. It is pitch black and my paranoia was kicking up a storm, so I sped up to get home as quickly as possible. At one point, I'm walking along a dark street and there is a girl in front of me. No issue. I try to speed up to overtake her, but as I get close she speeds up and pulls away. Confused as to why she is walking so fast, I attempt to overtake again. Same thing happens. She begins to look behind her every so often and this freaks me out. What is she running from? My paranoia kicks in harder and now I'm constantly looking behind us for what we are running from. The idea that she is being chased just pushes me further into paranoia and again I try to speed up to overtake her and outrun whatever is behind us. As I get close, she speeds up. Whatever is behind her is obviously terrifying and deserves to be run away from. This happens a few more times. At one point, both of us are power walking along this street, terrified of what is behind us when it hits me. It is me. I'm what she is running away from. I stop dead, pull my phone out, and sit on a wall, all the whole kicking my stoned little mind for concocting a terrifying monster while this girl is running for her life. Too long didn't read got stoned. Chased a girl while thinking we were being chased. Here is mine. I was going for a jog, and ahead of me on the street was a female jogger. She seemed to be going slightly faster, so NBD. As I was running, this random dog ducked out of a neighbor's yard. It looked very confused and was wandering around as if it was scared. The dog was between myself and the woman. I said hey to the dog, come here. The dog looked at me with its ears perked up, encouraged. Jogging, I made some whistling sounds, then clicked my teeth to try to get it to come over. The dog walked off right away. When I looked up, the woman had stopped jogging, had turned around, and was staring at me with disgust. She thought all those animal sounds were for her. She crossed the street and ran away. I have had this exact situation play out as well. Got off of the bus at night and started walking home. A woman got off slightly before me, so I was right behind her. We are walking a block or two together at this point. I shit you not. Every single turn she made I had to make too. At this point she is clearly doing double takes in my direction. So I decide to slow my walk and let her get farther ahead of me. And then when I finally see my home she turns into the alley between two houses, where I also need to go in as well. I screamed loudly "Mom, I'm home" in an effort to sound like not a creep outside my door, but holy shit did I scare the heck out of her. Yep, something similar here too. I was visiting a friend at college, and we had gone out for drinks. A bit into the night, like around 1-2 am. I was not feeling well, so I said I did walk back to his place. His roommate was going to be home and up supposedly, so I figured I'd be able to get in. While walking back I came up on a girl walking alone on her phone, and I basically follow her for a few blocks. All this time I'm looking around trying to catch familiar landmarks so I know where I'm going. At one point I stop, look around, and take a wrong turn. Eventually I realize I'm going the wrong way, and if I keep going I will get more lost. Well, my buzzed head says I will just cut through this yard and back on the street I was supposed to stay on. This results in me ending up stepping through some bushes, and sure enough as I step through, the same girl is up ahead, but closer than before. I essentially ended up following this girl all the way back to my friend's apartment, and as I turn into the breezeway where he lives, bam, pepper sprayed in the face. So I'm writhing on the floor, because that is the first and only time I have experienced pepper spray, and of course the police show up. I try to tell them that I'm visiting my friend, etc., and that he lives right there. Well, rumored apparently went out and no one is home. Thankfully my friend shows up before I got carted off and explains the situation. Turns out she lives next door to my friend, and I'm one unlucky bastard. LOL. Exactly the same happened to me. I was running home from the gym one evening. This lady in front of me started sprinting. and she definitely was not dressed for it. I thought it was weird, but it did not click. Eventually she ran into the arms of, I'm guessing, her husband, and gave me an absolutely terrified look as I ran past. Probably made for a good story later, and the presumed husband probably gives her a jab every once in a while about the time she ran from a jogger who she thought was after her. She responds back with a giggle over how paranoid she was, and they go back to cooking s'mores in their backyard patio grill, looking at the stars, sharing a blanket together. Here is mine. At the moment in a fairly unsafe neighborhood a few blocks from a show I'm going to with one, maybe two other girls. A guy is walking away from at the moment as we pull up. He gets in his car, but does not leave. We finish our transaction and drive away. He follows. We drive to the bar. He follows. We pull into the parking lot. He follows. We park and get the F out as fast as possible. He follows. As we are unwalking he shouts his explanation from a few feet behind us. I'm not trying to scare you. I was just watching to make sure you were safe at the moment. I'm going to the show too, so it looks like I'm following you. I had something similar happen in college. I was working in an arcade close to Halloween, so everyone was in costume celebrating. I would leave work around 2 AM, so the same time bars are getting out. I have a pretty fast walking pace and a one-track mind, so I start walking my normal route home without noticing I'm gaining on a girl in front of me. It was a good 15-minute walk home, so eventually I was right behind her. As soon as I was about 10 feet from her she swings around and yells, "Help, rapist," and I stammer out that I live in the apartments down the road. She is absolutely trashed and crying, and I feel horrible. She ends up grabbing me into a hug and asks me to walk her home. I saw her again in the arcade and commented that if she ever wanted someone to walk her home again she could meet me at closing. She had no recollection of the night and probably thought I was a creeper yet again. Such is my life. I have seen this in an old comedy movie that parodied Alfred Hitchcock. The scene started with two dimwits in a slum, afraid that a criminal is following them. They start running, and some onlookers see them. So more and more people start running along, convinced that something really scary is chasing them. In the end, 100 or so people is running after the two, and one asks the other, "What the heck did you do? The whole town is after us." And then the scene cuts to a Hitchcock impersonator, who states that fear is a prodigious driving force, and in making a movie, the person who is fleeing is more important than why he is fleeing in the first place. Once I was being chased and ran away. Some fancy old man was getting ready to get on his fancy car, saw me charging forward, and he thought I was just going to assault him. He fell to the ground and started screaming. I hope the ones that were chasing me did not catch him. There was probably a good 100 meters between. Guy hit himself hard. See, man, that day was weird. It was dark and dangerous, and for the first 5 kilometers I had a street dog protecting me. No joke, she was just following me and scared every single robber on the way. She left me as I took her to the foodstuffs place, and immediately that happened. Oh well, not sure if to feel more sorry for the nice dog or the old man. Happened to me too. I was going home after playing football in a new place. I'm terrified of stray dogs. I had bad experience with them. I do love dogs, just not dogs I do not know. And as I'm walking with my younger brother, I'm looking everywhere for any dogs. Then I saw a woman walking up the road. Figuring she knows the place, I speed walked towards her, and she started running, terrified, thinking maybe she saw stray dogs too. Me and my brother took off running towards her. She eventually reached her house, closed the gate and ran inside. Now I'm absolutely scared, and me and my brother ran all the way to our house without stopping. Only once I reached home did I realize why she must have run. Unfortunately, I never met her again, and this happened in India, so I completely understand her. But how can she mistake me for anyone dangerous? I was about 13, 14. I was shorter than her, but still, me and my brother must have given her a good scare. Did not mean to, but oh well. Yeah, I did something similar once. A woman was having trouble with her car in a dark parking lot. The battery was dead. I'm a very capable mechanic with tools and skills necessary. So dumbass me. 6 feet 4 tall, burly, bearded me. I think, hey, I'm going to help her. So I walk up behind an obviously nervous, agitated woman who is leaning into the engine compartment of her car, alone, in a dark parking lot. Do not announce my presence until I'm within grabbing distance. Startle the shit out of her, and then am dense enough to act surprised when she screams and scrambles around to the other side of the car while reaching into her purse. I deserve to get pepper sprayed. She showed remarkable restraint. I backed up quickly, explaining that I just wanted to help. My brain went into high gear. I suddenly realized what I did done, and I apologized profusely while backing away. From a safe distance I explained that I have a jumper pack and was willing to help if she felt comfortable with it. My wife was with me, so I called her over, which seemed to help. Got the car running, and she actually thanked me for helping, which I did not think I deserved. Laughing, this reminds me years ago, I was visiting New York, and I had just got off a subway and was walking through the terminal late evening, just me, and then this girl comes into view. I was late to something, so I was power walking. As soon as she noticed me power walking toward her, she started to walk faster too. I was too absorbed in trying to get to that whatever place, and saw I was going to be really late, and so started running down towards her. She started running, and I thought, oh shit, is something behind us? And so I started to run faster to get away and get to my destination. I ended up running past her and kept going out the subway and up into the streets. I never even bothered to look at her. Just ran straight past her, never looking at her. Must have scared the shit out of her. I, also a tall 6'4" bearded man, had a similar realization about how intimidating I was walking at night in college, which was fairly poorly lit. It only took a few times of someone I was giving directions to hesitating and saying, I think I can find it, when I offered to show them where the gym they were looking for was, or girls crossing the street when we were walking in the same direction, that it dawned on me. It does not help that with as long of legs as I have, my stride is about twice of most people, so I'm going to overtake them. Now I have consciously started crossing the street myself, or giving a wide berth when walking at night. Thank you, I needed a laugh today, but now I feel bad, because the poor woman must have been terrified. I remember my teenage boyfriend walking me home after smoking weed, and halfway home he kept glancing behind us. I did look, could not see anything. I did ask him what is up. Nothing would be his reply. Well, he keeps doing it, his eyes getting wider with fear. I'm now starting to get scared, his grip gets tighter on my hand. My heart's really starting to race. Both walking quicker. I keep asking what up. Nothing again is the answer. Clearly there is. I'm freaking out now inside. My BF does not get scared. So I sternly ask him again, his reply, an empty crisp packet is following him. A ducking crisp packet. For Americans that is a chip packet. It is a cruel thought, but part of me would have that in a desire. Once I noticed, and just take off sprinting. Full war scream. Right on past her at a safe distance. Do not think I did do that to a stranger. But it is a funny thought considering I have a really bad habit of chasing my GF the moment she runs from me. It is just a thing that happens. Like, she is about to go upstairs. We make eye contact. We freeze. She starts running up the stairs. Then my feet just follow while I laugh maniacally. Probably why I had such a hard time with street racing as a teenager. This literal exact thing happened to my guy friend, but he was the one thinking he was being chased. He was drunk walking home from a bar in LA when a guy was briskly walking behind him. He started to run thinking it was a mugger. Guy looked behind himself too and started running. Eventually the guy behind him yelled, "Who are we running from?" My friend realized he was actually running away from, of all people, Ryan Gosling, who had been at the same bar his friends owned it, and assumed paparazzi was chasing both of them. After they had a good laugh, Gosling just continued running away. A similar thing has happened to me. I had long walks back home from campus, and usually plugged in earbuds and listened to music. It was pretty late, and as I was walking home there was a petite figure about 2 blocks in front of me. My walking pace is decently fast, so I was catching up when they glanced behind themselves and started walking faster. I did not really take any notice at first, But after the third time of me catching up and them turning around and speeding up, I realized what was going on. It was a weird feeling. But I just crossed the street and continued on my way, laughing to myself about it. I think they turned onto a side street pretty soon afterwards too. When I was 16 or so, I smoked hash for the first time and got higher than I had ever been in my life. Then I decided to drive home. Everything was going fine until a fire engine came up behind me with their lights and sirens going. I see this in my rearview mirror and freak the duck out, thinking this giant truck is chasing me and wants to run me over. So instead of pulling over like you're supposed to do, I slammed the gas pedal down and tried to outrun it. Thing is, I was driving a piece of shit early 90s Ford Escort that felt like it was going to fall apart once it got up to about 60 miles per hour. So here I am, high as duck, gripping the wheel for dear life and screaming my ass off trying to get away from whatever psycho is trying to run me down in this giant truck. Meanwhile, the fire department is riding my ass and laying on the horn and motioning for me to pull over. It was probably less than a mile of this before my brain decided to work again and I realized they did not want to kill me. I just needed to pull over. When they flew past me, they looked reasonably pissed off, and it took me a while to calm down enough to finish my drive home. Have not thought about that in years, but your story reminded me of it. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.